How powerful is Cox Fiber? Powerful enough to keep fans across the country in the action on the biggest game days of the year. Whether you're one of 65,000 fans at Allegiant Stadium or you're streaming the game at home with Cox Fiber from the company with America's fastest download speeds, whenever it matters most, Cox keeps you connected. Limited availability in select areas. Speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Cox terms and other restrictions may apply. Analysis by Ookla of speed test intelligence data. Fixed median download speeds. US Q3 2023.
Blair Kerkhoff is our guest.
Maybe not.
Is Blair with us, Max?
He's speechless.
I am. Hey, guys.
Hey, sorry about that. I'm usually only ignored by my wife, so I was surprised not to get an answer there, Blair. So let's dig into the Chiefs. They're on the road against Buffalo. I haven't checked the weather forecast for Buffalo today yet, but I'm presuming it's going to be really cold. The Chiefs performed very well in a really cold weather situation in Kansas City over the weekend to beat Miami. This shapes up as such an interesting game. These two teams are kind of becoming known for these playoff matchups, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are. And as for the weather, it's supposed to be clear and cold on Sunday. It's snowing there today. They're having more issues with snow up that way, and I'm hoping there won't be any problems getting into Buffalo over the weekend. But for the game itself, no snow expected for the game, and like 24 degrees, I think, at kickoff, which is balmy compared to what happened here on Saturday night. And yeah, so third playoff meeting between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, the first one that'll be in Buffalo, and it'll break the tie between those two quarterbacks. They're 3-3 in their head-to-head series. I try to make the point in the story today that I think this is the best quarterback rivalry currently in the NFL and has a chance to stand with the best of all time if these guys continue to track the way they have been.
I agree with that. So Patrick Mahomes' first time on the road in the playoffs, and it's not like he's going to Houston or playing inside. He's going to a very, very, maybe the most hostile environment. I mean, he's Patrick Mahomes, but does that matter that he's going on the road for the first time just because it is the first time and he's never experienced it?
It matters as a storyline this week, and I think if the Chiefs lose on Sunday, it won't be because of where the game was played. It will be because Buffalo was the better team that day, just as they've been the last three times they've met in the regular season. Buffalo has come to Arrowhead three times since 2020 and have walked out of Arrowhead, a tough place to win, with a victory. So that's I think that'll make the difference. Mahomes, I haven't looked at. I saw someone tweet this earlier this week, and I haven't verified it, but I think Mahomes has the same record, if not the same, within a game or two record on the road as he does at home. In terms of, it's only been regular season games, of course, because as you were saying, this is his first playoff game away from. It's not either a neutral site or at home. So he's performed well on the road. The Chiefs certainly have performed well on the road under Andy Reid, and I'll push back a little bit on the idea that it's the first road game. They did play the Tampa Bay Bucks in the Super Bowl in Tampa Stadium.
Yeah, so, true.
But the NFL does acknowledge that as a home or a road game for one of the teams. It's a neutral site, and it was the COVID year, so there were only about 25,000 people in the stands anyway. So. This will be the first time he's played in a road environment, anything like what we expect road environments to be.
Blair Kerkhoff is our guest from the Kansas City Star. We're talking Chiefs Buffalo coming up Sunday, 5:30 kickoff. You can hear it on our sister station KNSS with Mitch Holtis. So, how much do we trust the Chiefs? They were good against Miami. Their defense was very, very good. How much do we trust this team now, given their ups and downs during the regular season?
Yeah, they had plenty of them. The thing that I take from the Chiefs in recent weeks, and I'll use the last game of the regular season where the starters play. So not the Chargers game in week 18, but the Bengals game at Arrowhead the week before that, and then the Dolphins playoff game, as signs that things are back on track as much as they can be with this roster. They won both games comfortably, and they had to kick a lot of field goals. Their red zone offense is not scoring touchdowns, and that's a problem. It's great to have Harrison Butker on your team, and he's made 1 million field goals this year, and he's only missed a couple. So all that's great. That's the thing that gives me a little reason to pause is they don't seem to be getting touchdowns or settling for field goals. You absolutely can't do that against Buffalo. I just don't see that happening. But at least they, at least in those 2 games, they didn't kill themselves with penalties, with turnovers, and drop passes, which has kind of defined the team through its mid-season malaise. That when you look at any of the losses, including the one to Buffalo and the Eagles, to the on Christmas Day to the Raiders, which was an embarrassing loss, all those things occurred and conspired against the Chiefs, and that didn't happen in the last 2 games that the starters have played. So they've got that going for them, and that's a good thing. Of course, both of those games are in Kansas City, and Buffalo will be definitely a different snowball throwing environment for them. And the defense has just been so good all year, seems to get better by the game. It's just for those who are used to watching the Chiefs put up points, by the truckload, and watching Patrick Mahomes pile up the stats. This isn't that team. It doesn't happen. Good sign is Rashee Rice, the rookie wide receiver, has played his best ball here lately, but is that going to be enough for the Chiefs to put 24, 27 points on the board, which is what I think they're going to need to win on Sunday.
I was going to ask you about Rashee Rice and how sustainable, how real you think his recent emergence has been, and how that might shape how the Chiefs build their roster in the near future.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Build their offense.
Yeah, I do think that his that he caught 8 passes for 130 yards in the terrible conditions on Saturday night, which his best game as a pro. So that's a great sign, and I think he's a future star in the NFL. And Chiefs made a wise decision with him in the draft last year. He's gotten better throughout the year, but he really is the only reliable wide receiver target, maybe the one that Mahomes trusts the most at this point. And they're going to have to build on that, I think, going forward. They're either going to have to draft or sign in free agency a top-notch wide receiver to go along with Rashee Rice. And I think if the Chiefs do that, if they get a 1A or a 1B, a 1 or a 1A alpha dog type of wide receiver, that'll help Travis Kelce. We all assume he'll be back next year. His numbers were down a little bit from previous years, but teams could afford to double team and really bother Kelce in a way that hasn't happened in recent years. I think with another top receiving threat, it'll open things up for Kelce next season, and the Chiefs' offense won't be settling for field goals the way they did this year.
Couple moments here left with Blair Kerkhoff from the Kansas City Star. Blair, we've both been around a long time. I don't know that I've ever witnessed more optimism and happiness amongst KU and K-State fans pertaining to both of their programs. Jerome Tang and Chris Kleiman at Kansas State, of course Bill Self and Lance Leipold at Kansas. This is unusual, unprecedented. Do you agree?
Uncharted waters. Yep, there really hasn't been a time quite like this, where all 4 of those teams, those programs, to me, the expectation is bowl game in football and NCAA tournament in basketball. And I just don't remember. I'm sure. I can't say I'm sure, but I assume it's happened once or twice in the history of those schools. But I don't ever recall expecting it to happen the way I seem to expect it to happen now because of coaches and the coaches of those programs and the leadership at those schools, and it really is a good time to be a fan of K-State and KU and their major sports. And heck, throwing women's basketball at K-State right now, the way that that team is rolling. So, yeah,
that's amazing too.
Times, and it comes at this odd time in conference realignment history, right? With the Big 12 surviving and looking great, and I can't wait till next football season. Should be very competitive, and KU and K-State should be picked to finish certainly in the upper division and have a chance to win it. But are they going to be seen eventually as an inferior league to the SEC and the Big Ten? I don't know about that. I think that's one of the questions I find myself asking as we in between seasons here in football. What's the future of the Big 12 going to be, and how is it going to be viewed nationally in what seems to be a two-conference landscape, a major conference landscape in college sports?
All interesting stuff. Blair, always good. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great talking to you guys. Take care.
How powerful is Cox Internet? Powerful enough to keep fans across the country in the action on the biggest game days of the year. Whether you're one of 65,000 fans at Allegiant Stadium or you're streaming the game at home with America's fastest download speeds powered by fiber. Whenever it matters most, Cox keeps you connected. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial connection. Speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Cox terms and other restrictions may apply. Analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data. Fixed median download speeds. US Q3 2023.